Gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I'm Babyface P. Today, we're starting off a build that I've been wanting to do for a long time, and yes, the receiver for this build has been sitting in a box for many, many years because they no longer make them. However, we'll put this aside for now. What you guys are here to see is what Sarco offers. I've already dug through it, obviously, and it is an extremely basic A1 parts kit. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. It was $280, which is a good price for a very basic parts kit. Add another little bit for a receiver and you're set. Now, these are not drop-in. Well, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about hand fitting all this later. Let's just take a look at what's in the kits, because that's what you're really here for this video. All right, so you get a whole bag of small parts. I have taped this back up, but all of your pins, roll pins, grip bushings, things like that are all in here. It has everything you need, and they all look fine. I mean, I guess I could open it up and show you. They, quality-wise, exactly what you would expect. It does have an A1 style thumb safety, which again will need to be fitted. We'll talk about that when we get there. A sear. I don't know what, this is a MIM sear, so you can see a little, you guys probably can't see it, but I can see the two little dots where it's metal injected molding. Not as good as a solid sear, but we will see how this works. I have the kitting, the tooling to stone this, and we'll see how it goes. Slide release, bunch of pins, bunch of stuff for putting your slide together. So it's all kind of what you would expect in the small parts area. Nothing exciting, nothing crazy exciting. Spur hammer, but everything is nicely done. Even like the checkering on a spur hammer looks just fine. The milling here, the lining on that looks good. So I'm not disappointed. I know a lot of people out there would poo-poo this kit for not being high and fancy, but so far, not disappointed. Barrel, let's take out the barrel. This is where, I don't know who makes any of this. I have a feeling that these are, because they partner with one of the, oh God, it's a separate country that makes these things. Thailand, I want to say. Philippines, the Philippines. Y'all are probably yelling Philippines. I have a feeling that all of these parts are Filipino. But again, I don't know that that's a bad thing. We'll see when we get there. I have a Series 7019 Colt that we can compare to. But just in the preliminary, they don't look bad. So here's your barrel. Top has already been polished. Cal, says Cal 45. Just phosphate coated, and the rifling looks plenty fine. It comes with your pin and swivel already in place. And we'll see. I don't know if this will need any trimming here, but we'll find out. Looks good. The coolest part, I believe that these are surplus GI grips. This is as of right now. These things may change. From what I understand, these part sets used to come with more GI stuff, but as that ran out, they started filling the parts in with non-GI stuff, new production. But smell like GI, pretty cool. Nice grips. Spring, leaf spring, just a very basic phosphate-coated leaf spring. There can't go wrong with that. Very, very basic beaver tail, if you even call it that. Just your regular safety, grip safety for a 1911A1. Plug for your spring. Bushing, just a phosphate bushing. Magazine, it does come with one magazine. This is one of the Sarco mags. I have had good experience with these mags. They're marked 45 ACP on the bottom. They are blued as far as I can tell, not phosphated. And they're not fancy. You can see, I don't know if you guys can see on camera, but there are grind marks on both sides where they welded the base plate on and then grinded it back in. But I have used these, and from what I remember in my Colt, it doesn't mind them. They work just fine. So we'll see when we get there how these work. So this one came with a long trigger, not a short trigger, non-adjustable. When I put it in the slot in the frame, it did seem to fit pretty well, but no over travel stop. And I think that's about it. It is serrated on the front, this one here, but it's just a basic, very basic long face trigger, which I prefer. I like this. Let's see, spring cap, your spring. So this one, again, this is an A1 kit, so it's coming with the humped, it's the best I can say, humped back strap. Now, personally, I like the humped back straps. Just personal opinion, I really like them. If you don't, then you may want to go ahead and order a flat back strap, mainspring housing, trigger spring housing, or hammer spring housing rather. But this one here even has the loop like an A1, so this is just a basic A1. You can see also there's the dot for it being memmed, so a lot of these parts are memmed. And last but not least, the most important part of this is the slide. Comes nicely wrapped, and I will admit, it's a basic phosphate-coated A1 slide with no markings on it, which is very nice. We may end up we may take this to the laser engraver and engrave our own markings on it. Something interesting that says BFP, but all in all, there are no machine marks hardly. There's a little bit of machine chatter back here. Very akin to an A1, their slide serrations are very light. They don't have a whole lot of grip to them, but again, this is an A1 build. This is not a super fancy modern 1911. But yeah, you can see a little bit of machine chatter across the top where they did the radius. But for what you're paying for something like this, to me, this is perfectly fine, perfectly adequate. My Colt looks obviously a lot better, but I paid a lot more money for it. But that's it. That is your Sarco parts kit. Now, things that we can improve on if we get there, and I will have you guys vote on this as we go. I'm torn between, do we leave it a true Sarco A1, or do we modernize and improve upon it? And when I say that, I mean checker the grips. Get a non-checkered backstrap and then match the checkering to the grip. Get we could do some slide work up here. We can cut this for Novak and cut the front for a dovetail. I think we can cut the front for a dovetail. I've never done that before, but we can try. There's a whole lot of stuff we can do. We can make improvements over time. We can put in a nicer trigger. And I mean the trigger face itself with an over travel stop. We can put in a bigger beaver tail. Like, it's kind of up to you guys to let me know what you think we should progress with. Sorry, there's a fly. What you think we should progress with. Should we leave this as just a basic A1 and then do a separate build of a fancy 1911 off of an 80%er? Or do we take this and improve it as we go? I'm kind of in between. Right now I'm kind of leaning towards leaving this as a plain Jane A1 and putting it in the safe and shooting it whenever I feel like it. And then creating a full second build with fancy parts, an 80%er, doing it all custom work, hand fitting everything. Basically, if you watch any of Mosin Virus's videos, basically kind of following in his footsteps and doing like a high-end hand-fitted, well, a completely hand-fitted 1911, checker it. We'd have a light rail on the front, things like that, like making a modern 1911. So let me know what you guys think. That's where we're at with the Sarco kit. Next video, we're going to start fitting some of this stuff to this. So I'll see you guys then.